This is my WWE Survivor Series 2013 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view saw off the air a little while ago. As far as my thoughts of this show, I thought this wasn't a bad show from WWE, but it wasn't that good of a show from WWE. It was more or less an average show with some really good stuff on the show, but at the same time, you had a number of bad things on the show. Let me get into the stuff that was good on the show, which was the match of the night, the one match I would say everyone needs to go out their way to see. That was the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. I was thinking it was going to be a good match going into the pay-per-view, but it definitely blew my expectations. It was a great tag match and something everyone needs to see on this pay-per-view. The other two things I enjoyed on this pay-per-view, you had 6 matches in total on this show. The other 2 matches I enjoyed, I thought the opening Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match was good. Now, the only thing people will probably complain about that match is not necessarily the quality, because the quality, it was a good match. It was maybe a little disappointing. Some people might have thought it could have been a little better, but the two things I think people will be saying about the match that you could easily say is a good argument that it should have been better was, okay, this was a match that was more or less not necessarily thrown together, because everyone in the match had reason to be up against each other. Rey Mysterio was really the only thing that was thrown together at the last minute with his return on Monday Night Raw. So everyone had the reasoning of the match made sense with everyone, feuding months before with each other. So that made perfect sense with all of them. But it was a match that was announced on the Go Home show leading into the pay-per-view. And for a pay-per-view like Survivor Series, which obviously the meaning of Survivor Series has been the meaning of Survivor Series, it hasn't meant anything for a long time as far as the concept of the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination matches. It hasn't meant anything in a long time, but I know some people will be saying, well, since it's Survivor Series, that's still supposed to be one of the main things on the pay-per-view, but it's been a long time since that's actually meant anything. And then the other thing was, we got a 6-on-6 tag team match on Raw that was probably a little better than the Survivor Series elimination match, or about as good quality. So you saw basically a match that was a little better or about the same quality on free television. So it's like, why would people go out their way and purchase pay-per-view if they saw something better on television or about the same amount of quality as the pay-per-view match? Then the other thing that was fairly good, it wasn't a great match, but it was a fine, good match. That was John Cena versus Alberto. It was much better than their match, their previous encounter at Hell in a Cell last month. It was much better than that. And then the things that were bad on the pay-per-view, which were, the main event was atrocious. That was Randy Orton and Big Show match no one cared about, and it had a very predictable ending with the Authority, Triple H, and Stephanie coming out there, distracting Big Show, and Orton retains the title, and then they end the show with teasing a unification match with John Cena and Randy Orton. Divas match was utter shit. No one cared about. Went on way too long. And then they had a thrown together match with Mark Henry making his return and accepting the open challenge of Ryback. But let me get into the pay-per-view. The opening matchup was the opening match. Well, before the opening match, you see Triple H and Stephanie come out there, introduce the crowd, welcome them to Survivor Series, and they announced that the first match on the show will be the 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Then it goes to the opening video Survivor Series. Then all the people that are involved in the 5-on-5 elimination match come out, their entrances. On one side, it's Rey Mysterio, the Usos, Goldust, and Cody Rhodes versus the Real Americans and the Shield. And this had a shocking elimination at first, which they tend to like doing this sometime in Survivor Series elimination matches, but I think some people will be like, he shouldn't have been eliminated first. He should have been in the match for a long time. And that was the shocking elimination of Dean Ambrose getting eliminated first by Cody Rhodes. How this happened was you saw Dean Ambrose arguing with the ref. And this was, he was distracted and Cody Rhodes rolled him up. So Dean Ambrose was shockingly eliminated first. And then after this, he's kind of, not wanting to get out of the ring. Then Cody Rhodes and all his side kind of get him out. He gets out of the ring. Then you see a lot of crazy things happening, craziness, all out melee. You see the Usos you see one of the Usos dive out onto the Real Americans. Then on the other side, diving out onto the Shield. And then after this, the next elimination came when Jey Uso eliminated Swagger. So 2 members on one side already eliminated. Then Cody Rhodes eliminated Antonio Cesaro. The way the Antonio Cesaro elimination happened was pretty cool. Antonio Cesaro did his giant swing to both of the Usos, did it about 14 times to one, if I remember the number right, then about 20 to the other. So he was pretty much dazed, dizzy. Then Cody Rhodes comes in there, eliminates him. And then after this is when it's obviously only Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns left on one side, and everyone all still on the one side. This is when Roman Reigns starts going through everyone. This was the great part of the match. This is when it really was good. Roman Reigns, he speared and eliminated Jimmy Uso, so finally an elimination there on the side, on that one side. And then the next elimination came when Reigns eliminated Rhodes with another spear. And then Rollins eliminates Jey Uso. Then Rey Mysterio eliminates Rollins. So then it's only Goldust. Then it's only Goldust and Rey Mysterio, 2 against 1, with Roman Reigns left on the one side by himself. He eliminates Goldust with the spear. And then it ends really well. Love the ending of the match with Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio. You saw Rey Mysterio going to the top, looking like he was about to hit the Hurricane Rana onto Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns reverses it, and then looks like Roman Reigns is going to reverse it. Then Rey Mysterio looks like he's going to hit the 619 to Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns hits him with a beautiful spear to end the match, with his side winning and him being the sole survivor on his side. Very good opener. Not a great match, but a good match and a solid opener. I would say about 3 1/4 star, 3.5 stars. A good way to start the pay-per-view. And Roman Reigns looked great in the match, and I love the stuff with Rollins and Rey Mysterio that we saw in the match, and really you had no bad talent in there. I mean, the one person that I think some people would say sometimes isn't the greatest in the ring is Jack Swagger, but he wasn't involved in the match too much, and stuff he did in there wasn't too bad, and he got eliminated fairly quick. But like I said, pretty good opener. Then the next matchup was Curtis Axel versus Big E Langstan for the IC title. This was a match probably not many people cared about. Obviously, Big E Langstan just won the IC title. Big E Langstan retains the title here after hitting his finishing move to Curtis Axel. Not much of a match, at best maybe 1.5, 1 3/4 stars. Just couldn't get into it. Then the next matchup was the match no one cared about. Probably the worst match of the night. This was the 7-on-7 Divas elimination match, with one side basically being the cast of Total Divas. That was consisting of the Bella Twins, Natalya, Cameron, Naomi, Jojo, and Eve Marie. And then on the other side, it was AJ Lee's side with AJ Lee, Tamina Snuka, Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, Kaitlyn, Rosa, and Aksana. Just typical Divas match that just went on way too long. The only thing I was expecting it to be good was when it got to the end with only Natalya and AJ Lee, I was kind of like, okay, maybe if they take on each other for a few minutes, even though I'm like, this match has gone on too long that it does need to end, maybe if they would have went against each other for a few minutes, that they could have possibly made the match into at least something memorable, or at least a decent match. But their part was very quick, and Natalya picks up the win, eliminating AJ Lee for her side to win, which obviously is understandable with them pushing the Total Divas show so hard that they are, that that side wins. That was pretty much obviously the outcome everyone expected. As far as the match, 1 star at best. Just, typical Divas match that just went way too long. Then the next matchup was Ryback came out there. This was him throwing out an open challenge to anyone. And this was Mark Henry's return. He accepted the challenge. You saw Mark Henry and Ryback. They took on each other before. They obviously had a match earlier this year at WrestleMania. No one would care less about seeing this match. Mark Henry does win his return. The end of the match comes when you see Ryback trying to hit the meat hook with Mark Henry in the corner. Mark Henry does somewhat of a crossbody, at least his version of a crossbody, onto Ryback, and then he hits the world's strongest slam to Ryback to win the match, about 1.5 stars at best. Then the next matchup was Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight title. I actually liked this match. It was fairly good. It wasn't a great match, but a good match, and definitely much better than their match they had at Hell in the Cell. I like the stuff with Alberto Del Rio continuing to work on John Cena's arm. John Cena selling it very good in here. Some really good counters in this match. I like the counters in here. You saw John Cena trying to hit the attitude adjustment to Alberto at one point in this match. Alberto counters it with the German suplex. And then you saw Cena trying to hit the five knuckle shuffle. Then Alberto kicked him, got up, hit the DDT. They teased at one point that they were going to go with the count out way. With it looked like at one point that Alberto Del Rio was going to get counted out. Then at the end, obviously John Cena overcomes the odds like always, and John Cena retains the title after hitting the attitude adjustment. But a good match. Definitely much better than their match. And even though I do think Cena should have took a little more time off, Cena obviously is going to work through, no matter what injuries he's facing. And, love him or hate him, I am a fan of his. I know a lot of people do not like him, but he goes out there and busts his ass every night. And he's still obviously probably still a little banged up and obviously and all that, but still put on a fairly good match with Alberto Del Rio here. I would say about, 3 and 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup was easily the match of the night. Probably the match that most people either paid to see the pay-per-view or like a lot of people just wanted to see the pay-per-view for this one match. This was the Wyatt family of Rowan and Harper versus CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. This was a great tag match, really good action. I loved, the dynamics of this match where you had obviously the strength and power on the one side of the Wyatt family, and then, Daniel Bryan and Punk kind of, using their high flying ability, their kicks. They're more experienced than the Wyatt family, and just, the fastness and speed of them, and that worked very well with them. And the beginning of the match, you kind of saw CM Punk and Daniel Bryan tagging each other in and out, working over Eric Rowan at the beginning. Then Harper pulled out a Michinoku driver in this match. Did not expect to see that coming. You saw a super bomb off the top rope with Daniel Bryan had Harper placed on the top rope, looking like he was going to hit the top rope Hurricane Rana. And then Harper hits the power bomb. One spot that was brutal in this match was, just the ease that Eric Rowan could pick up CM Punk. He picked him up, slammed him over the top rope to the floor. Just looked brutal right there. And then, the end of the match comes with CM Punk able to hit the go to sleep onto CM Punk able to hit the go to sleep on Harper before he hit the go to sleep on Harper to win the match. Daniel Bryan did the big knee to Rowan, and Rowan was eliminated. He was outside the ring, and then CM Punk and Daniel Bryan win this match. Then after the match, post match, you see Daniel Bryan and Punk egging on Bray Wyatt to come into the ring. He was playing into it, looking like he was going to come into the ring, gets on the apron, and then just gets off the apron, walks away, and that's the end of that. So obviously I don't think we've seen the end of the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. At least I hope not, because this was a great match. Great tag team match. Definitely something everyone needs to see. I would say 3 and 3/4 stars or 4 stars. It was really damn good. And then you had the match that no one gave a shit about. The people at the show, and the live crowd couldn't give a shit about, and probably most people watching the pay-per-view couldn't really give a shit about. This was Big Show versus Randy Orton for the WWE title. It was a very dull and boring match, and the crowd was chanting boring very early in the match. Just not a good match. Very boring, very dull. Just a boring match, and the ending everyone saw coming from a mile away. At the end of the match, towards the end of the match, Big Show's on the apron. He's getting back in the ring after throwing Randy Orton back in the ring. He's signaling that he's going to hit the knockout punch. Then Triple H's music hits. Triple H and Stephanie, the Authority, come out there. They distract Big Show. Big Show's getting into the ring. Randy hits the RKO. He doesn't go for the pin. And then he, teases that he's going to do the punt kick to Big Show. Hits the punt kick. Then pins Big Show. Retains the title. And then after that, he's celebrating in the ring. and John Cena comes out there, so looks like they're teasing a unification of both the titles. Maybe we'll see that this next year at WrestleMania. That's looking the route they're going to go, but I think a lot of people at this point be like, people probably do want to see the idea of both titles unifying, but I think at this point people are going to be like, really, John Cena and Randy Orton are going to be the two that are going to take on each other for unifying the titles, but there are two of the guys WWE likes pushing the most, and Cena's the face of the company. They love Orton, obviously, and they've feuded with each other a lot in the past. Some matches were good, a lot of them were bad. They had more bad matches than good matches. They did have a few good matches, so maybe if they do the unification match and they do it at Mania, that they will have a good match that time, but I don't think it's anyone people really care about other than the idea, the unification idea. But as far as the main event, it was so boring. I probably would give it, 2 stars, 2 and 1/4 stars at best. It was a very dull main event, and definitely not a good way to send the crowd home happy. Probably most people in attendance, especially the way they reacted to the match, most people probably looked as the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan CM Punk as the real main event, because no one probably cared about the actual main event of the pay-per-view. But overall, since you did have that great tag match with the Wyatt family versus Daniel Bryan and Punk, the 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match, the opener, was fairly good, and I did enjoy John Cena and Alberto Del Rio. So half of the card was good and half of it was bad, and you had a very weak main event. So with all that, I would probably give the pay-per-view about a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 6.75 out of 10. Definitely something I wouldn't recommend people to go out their way to see, but there was some good stuff on the show. So that's for my WWE Survivor Series 2013 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.